Good morning, warriors of potential. Let me begin by telling you this. You are not here to be invisible. You are not here to blend in, to play small, or to water yourself down to make others comfortable. You are here to be seen, to be heard, and most importantly, to reign. Confidence, real confidence, is not about arrogance. It's about self-awareness. It's about knowing who you are and refusing to let the world convince you otherwise. I didn't wake up one day with unshakable confidence. No one does. It's not gifted, it's built, through blood, sweat, tears, and choices. Confidence is a muscle, and like every muscle, it gets stronger when you push it beyond its limits. So today, I want to share what I've learned, not from the glamorous red carpets or the magazine covers, but from the rejections, the doubts, the moments I wanted to quit. From the days I was told I was too Indian to make it in Hollywood, to the times I looked in the mirror and didn't know who I was becoming. Those are the moments that built me. Those are the moments that built this voice. The first thing you must understand is this: you don't need to fit in. In fact, if you're trying to fit in, you're playing too small. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs the realest version of you. I was told to tone it down, to change my accent, to be less Indian, if I wanted to succeed outside of Bollywood, but I chose to own my identity instead of hiding it. That's when things changed. The moment you embrace your uniqueness is the moment you unlock your power. Confidence begins the second you stop apologizing for who you are, and then comes discipline, because confidence without action is just wishful thinking. I didn't land roles because I hoped I'd get lucky. I landed them because I worked my butt off. I studied scripts like textbooks, trained like an athlete, and kept showing up even when I didn't feel like it. Confidence is about keeping the promises you make to yourself. When you say, "I will do this," and then you actually do it day after day, that's when your belief in yourself becomes unshakable. You start to trust your own word. That's the real glow up. But sometimes, even when you show up, fear creeps in. You think, "I'm not ready." Let me tell you a secret. No one ever feels completely ready. I wasn't ready when I said yes to asterisk quantico asterisk. I wasn't ready when I stepped onto my first international stage. But I said yes anyway, and I figured it out. Say yes before you feel prepared. That's where growth happens. In the mess, in the uncertainty, in the stretch. Confidence isn't knowing the whole staircase. It's taking the first step in the dark, and when you take those steps, you'll stumble, you'll hear no, a lot. I've been rejected more times than I can count. Roles I didn't get, auditions I failed, critics who doubted me. Each no could have broken me. But instead of shrinking, I turned rejection into redirection. Every door that closed forced me to create my own path. You cannot let failure define your value. You are not your last mistake. You are your comeback. Every scar has a story. Wear it like armor. One of the most powerful things you can do for your confidence is to curate your circle. Confidence is fragile when you're surrounded by people who doubt you, dismiss you, or subtly chip away at your worth. Get rid of those people. You don't need that energy. Keep people in your life who see your vision even when it's just a sketch. People who challenge you to level up, not shrink down. Protect your space. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Your time and your peace are premium. Treat them that way. And finally, you have to crown yourself. Too many people are waiting for permission. Permission to shine, to speak up, to dream big. Stop waiting. No one is coming to tell you you're good enough. You have to decide that for yourself. Reign in your own kingdom. Take up space. Speak your truth even when your voice shakes. Start now. Start scared. You don't need all the answers. You need courage. The rest will follow. Confidence is not a destination you arrive at one day and say, "I made it." It's something you build every single day. In the quiet, in the grind, in the mirror, when you cheer yourself on even when no one else is clapping. When you rise again and again because you know you were not made to disappear. You were made to dominate. So stop shrinking. Stop editing yourself to fit into someone else's idea of enough. Start reigning. Take the damn crown. It's always been yours. Thank you. Everyone wants the glow up. Everyone wants to walk into a room and have heads turn, to feel unstoppable. to radiate that magnetic energy we associate with confidence. But here's the truth no one wants to hear. Real glow-ups don't come from makeup artists, stylists, or filters. They come from discipline, the kind of discipline that doesn't always feel glamorous but absolutely transforms you from the inside out. Discipline is the backbone of everything I've built. When I first entered the entertainment industry, I wasn't the most talented or the most experienced. I wasn't the best dancer, I didn't come from a film family, but I was hungry, I was focused, I had a fire that said, I may not be the best yet, but I will outwork everyone in the room. And I did. I said yes to every opportunity, every rehearsal, every script, even when I was exhausted, even when I was afraid. That's discipline. Discipline means showing up for yourself on the days you don't feel like it. It's doing the work when no one is watching. It's waking up early when you could sleep in. It's staying back after everyone leaves just to get that one line right. People often look at someone's success and say, "Oh, she's lucky," or "she's so confident." No, what you're seeing is the result of thousands of small, boring, repetitive choices. You're seeing the glow, but you didn't witness the grind. I remember days I wanted to give up, when the pressure was too much, when criticism felt personal, when I missed home and questioned why I was pushing so hard. But discipline taught me resilience. It reminded me of my why. It reminded me that comfort doesn't create queens, consistency does. Discipline is choosing progress over perfection. It's knowing that you won't always get it right, but you'll keep showing up anyway. What people don't realize is that confidence is born from the self-respect that discipline builds. Every time you say, "I'm going to do this," and then you actually do it, you start to trust yourself a little more. You stop doubting your potential because your own actions are proof that you're capable. It's not about being fearless. It's about taking action despite the fear. That's where true confidence comes from. I've trained for roles that demanded mental and physical transformation. I've studied accents, learned martial arts, memorized entire scripts in languages I wasn't fluent in all because I committed to the process. Discipline gave me the power to transform not just how I looked, but how I saw myself. That's the glow-up no one talks about. Not the one that comes from good lighting, but the one that comes from keeping your word to yourself. Discipline also means saying no. No to distractions, no to toxic people, no to things that don't serve your vision. We live in a world that rewards instant gratification, but real success, lasting success, doesn't come instantly. It comes when you delay pleasure for purpose, when you stop chasing validation and start building value. That takes strength, that takes discipline. Even now, with all that I've achieved, discipline is what grounds me. It's what keeps me humble, what keeps me learning, what keeps me growing. You never outgrow the need for discipline. In fact, the more successful you become, the more important it is, because the spotlight doesn't protect you. It exposes you, and if you're not rooted in hard work, the glare of fame can blind you. Sometimes people ask me, how do you stay motivated? And the honest answer is, I don't. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a habit. You can't rely on feelings to build an empire. You have to rely on your standards, on your rituals, on your reasons. So many young people today think confidence is about being loud or always being sure of yourself. No, confidence is quiet. It's the calm you carry into a room because you know what it took to get there. It's the power in your walk because you know you didn't take shortcuts. It's the way you hold your head high, not because someone told you you're enough, but because you proved it to yourself. And here's something else. Discipline doesn't have to be rigid or joyless. It's not about punishing yourself or grinding until you break. It's about creating a structure that supports your dreams. It's about becoming your own best friend, not your worst critic. It's about building a life you're proud of step by step, day by day. That's the glow up. That's the transformation that matters. So if you're waiting for confidence to strike like lightning, stop waiting, build it. If you're hoping someone will give you permission to rise, stop hoping. Claim it. Confidence is earned, and discipline is how you earn it. It's not always pretty, it's not always fun, but it is always worth it. And when you walk into that room prepared, focused, unshaken, You won't need to shout to be seen. Your discipline will do the talking, and your glow will speak louder than words. That's real power. That's the glow up that never fades. There's something magical about saying yes before you feel ready, something terrifying, yes, but also electric. It's that moment when fear is loud, self-doubt is louder, and yet you choose to leap anyway. That leap, that decision, is where transformation begins. I've lived it again and again, and let me tell you, some of the biggest breakthroughs in my life happened not because I was fully prepared, but because I said yes before I was. When I first started working internationally, I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know how to navigate a new culture, how to work in an American TV series, how to build a brand on a global stage. But when the opportunity for Quantico came along, I said yes. I didn't stop to question whether I was ready. I didn't give fear time to negotiate. I stepped into the unknown, and I figured it out along the way. Too often we're taught to wait until we're qualified, to only speak when we're certain, to only act when we're confident, but that mindset keeps too many of us on the sidelines of our own lives. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you'll wait forever. Growth doesn't happen in certainty. It happens in motion, in movement, in momentum. Saying yes before you're ready doesn't mean being reckless. It means being courageous. I've learned that no one is ever fully ready for the big moments. Not really, not the first time, but readiness is overrated. What matters more is willingness. Are you willing to stretch? Are you willing to be uncomfortable? Are you willing to show up even when your hands are shaking and your heart is pounding? That's what separates those who dream from those who do. It's not that they never feel fear. It's that they say yes anyway. Let's be honest. Fear doesn't go away. It evolves. At every level of success, there's a new kind of uncertainty. When I was starting out in Bollywood, I was terrified of failing, of being judged, of not being good enough. When I crossed over into Hollywood, that fear didn't disappear, it just took a new shape. The accents changed, the scripts changed, the expectations skyrocketed. But the fear's still there. The only difference was I'd learned to stop letting it make my decisions. Saying yes before you're ready is about trusting your potential more than your current position. It's about betting on your ability to grow, adapt, and learn under pressure. I've been thrown into situations where I had no time to prepare and no choice but to perform. And you know what? That pressure forged something in me. It taught me how capable I really am. It showed me that confidence isn't a prerequisite, it's a result. It's something you earn by walking through the fire, not around it. And no, it's not always comfortable. There are moments when you'll doubt yourself. You'll wonder if you made the wrong decision, if you bit off more than you can chew. But those moments are part of the process. They're the price of greatness. The truth is, we grow into the roles we say yes to. We become the person the challenge requires, but only if we're brave enough to step into it. People often ask me how I stay confident, how I handle so much pressure, how I keep evolving, and my answer is simple. I keep saying yes. I say yes to the things that scare me. I say yes to roles that stretch me. I say yes to new ideas even when I'm unsure, because every time I do, I expand. I discover more of what I'm capable of. I surprise myself, and that's the best kind of confidence, the kind that comes from experience, not ego. Saying yes also opens doors you didn't even know existed. Life rewards the bold. Opportunities come to those who are willing to leap, not just those who are perfectly prepared. I've seen so many people hold themselves back because they're waiting for the right time, the right skills, the right moment. But here's the truth. The right moment is created when you take the risk. You don't get clarity before you act. You get clarity through action. Of course, you'll stumble. You'll make mistakes. You'll learn some lessons the hard way. But so what? That's how you grow. That's how you build resilience. That's how you become someone who doesn't just dream big, but lives big. Every yes you say to growth adds another layer to who you are, another reason to believe in yourself, another piece of the life you were always meant to live. You owe it to yourself to stop playing small. You owe it to the younger version of you, the one who once dreamed big and believed anything was possible. That version of you didn't worry about readiness. They just imagined and imagined boldly. Don't let that fire die in the name of playing it safe. Be bold again, be brave again. So the next time life presents you with an opportunity that makes your heart race and your stomach twist, pause, and then say yes. Say yes even if your voice trembles. Say yes even if your knees shake. Say yes and trust that you'll rise to the occasion, because you will, you always do. Say yes before you're ready. That's where the magic lies. That's where you meet the strongest version of yourself, and that's where the real journey begins. Rejection hurts. Let's not sugarcoat it. It stings, it breaks your rhythm, and sometimes it breaks your heart. But what I've learned, what I've lived, is that rejection is not the end. It's a pivot point. It's not a wall. It's a sign pointing in a new direction. Some of the most powerful chapters of my life began with someone telling me no. And instead of shrinking, I learned to see rejection not as a door slammed shut, but as a window opening somewhere else. Rejection, if you let it, can become the very thing that sets you free. When I first started acting, I didn't know the rules. I didn't have connections. I wasn't born into a film family, and very quickly I realized that talent wasn't enough. You could be great and still be told no. You could work your heart out and still not be what they're looking for. There were times when I was told I was too bold, too Indian, too outspoken, too much, and for a moment I believed it. For a moment I questioned everything. Am I wrong for being who I am? Should I be quieter, softer, less visible? But then something clicked. I realized I didn't want to be accepted by shrinking. I didn't want to earn my place by erasing parts of myself. That's not success, that's submission. So I stopped treating rejection like a verdict. I started treating it like information. When someone says no to you, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their perspective. It's their limitation, not yours. And once you stop taking rejection personally, you start taking it strategically. Rejection taught me how to redirect my energy. Instead of sitting in the pain, I learned to move forward. When a role didn't come through, I used that time to train harder, to sharpen my skills, to prepare for the next opportunity. Every no became fuel, and with each setback I built resilience. I stopped letting the industry define what was possible for me and started creating my own path. That's how you turn rejection into redirection. You refuse to let it be the last word. One of the most painful rejections I ever experienced turned out to be one of the greatest blessings. There was a project I wanted so badly. I had put everything into it, emotion, time, effort. I could see myself in that role. But it didn't happen, and I was devastated. But not long after, I was offered something else, something unexpected, something that changed the course of my career. If I had gotten that first role, I wouldn't have been available for the second. That's when I realized not getting what you want doesn't mean you're failing. Sometimes it means the universe is making room for something bigger. Rejection will test your patience. It will test your belief in yourself. But if you stay in the game, if you keep showing up, you'll see that it also builds strength. It teaches you to separate your identity from your achievements. It teaches you to be your own source of validation. And once you find that inner anchor, rejection loses its power over you. You stop seeing it as an ending, and you start seeing it as a redirection to something better aligned with who you are becoming. We live in a world obsessed with winning, with perfection, with applause. But real success doesn't come from being liked by everyone. It comes from knowing who you are, even when the world doubts you. Especially when the world doubts you, rejection forces you to get clear on your why. Why are you doing this? Who are you doing it for? And if your answer is rooted in truth, no rejection can stop you for long. It's important to understand that rejection doesn't mean you're not good enough. Sometimes it means the opportunity isn't right for you. Sometimes it means the timing is off. And sometimes, honestly, it means people can't see your value yet. That doesn't mean you stop. That doesn't mean you settle. That means you rise, you redirect, you reinvent. In my journey, every rejection has pushed me closer to authenticity, closer to my voice, closer to my power. It made me stop chasing approval and start chasing alignment. because once you know what you stand for, you stop chasing places that don't deserve you. You don't force yourself into rooms where the energy feels off. You build your own room, you build your own stage. I want you to remember this. Rejection is a comma, not a full stop. It's a course correction, not a failure. You have to be willing to keep going even when the world tells you no. Because when you do, when you rise from the no's, you become unstoppable. You become someone who cannot be broken by temporary setbacks. You become the author of your own story, so don't fear rejection. Welcome it, let it sharpen you, let it reveal your strength, and then let it lead you exactly where you were always meant to go, because the people who win in the long run, they're not the ones who never heard no. They're the ones who turned every no into a new way forward. Let rejection be your redirection, not away from your dream, but toward the version of it that's even bigger, even bolder, and even more you. One of the most powerful decisions you'll ever make is choosing who gets access to you. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Not everyone clapping for you is clapping out of love. That's a hard truth I had to learn early, but once I did, everything changed. If you want to build an unshakable sense of self, if you want to protect your energy, your confidence, your peace, you must curate your circle ruthlessly. I used to think that being nice meant including everyone, that being kind meant keeping people around out of loyalty even when they drained me. I've since learned there's a difference between kindness and self-sacrifice. Being kind doesn't mean being available to everyone. It means being intentional. It means recognizing your worth and then choosing to surround yourself with people who see it, respect it, and reflect it back to you. There was a time when I let too many voices in voices that questioned me, doubted me, belittled my ambition. I let them linger because I didn't want to seem harsh, but those voices, they weren't just harmless opinions, they were roadblocks. Every time I let someone sit at my table who didn't believe in me, I was feeding self-doubt. And eventually I realized if I wanted to rise, I had to clean house. I had to be ruthless, not cruel but clear. Your circle shapes your mindset. It shapes how you see yourself, how you take risks, how you grow. If your circle is filled with people who play small, you'll start shrinking to fit. If your circle is full of people who gossip, complain, and make excuses, guess what? You'll start adopting that energy too. But if your circle is made up of people who challenge you, celebrate you, and remind you of who you are on your worst day, that's when you thrive, that's when you glow. I've had to walk away from friendships that once meant everything to me. I've had to say no to relationships that no longer served the woman I was becoming. Not because there was drama, not because there was hatred, but because their energy no longer aligned with my vision. Growth requires sacrifice, and sometimes that sacrifice is letting go of people who only knew the old version of you and want to keep you there. It's not easy, especially when you're someone who loves deeply, who wants to believe the best in others. But your future cannot afford the weight of people who don't believe in it. You cannot drag people with you who are committed to misunderstanding your journey. You cannot bloom while constantly trying to explain why you deserve to shine. You don't need permission. You need boundaries, and here's the truth. The people who are meant for you will never require you to shrink. They will never make you feel like your ambition is too loud, your confidence too much, or your presence too big. They will clap when you win, even if they're still finding their own success. They will speak your name in rooms you've never entered. They will tell you the truth when it's hard and hold you accountable with love. That's the kind of circle I've built, and it didn't happen overnight. I had to outgrow people. I had to be alone for a while. I had to become my own cheerleader before I found people who matched that energy. But it was worth it because today the people in my life push me to be better, not bitter. They pour into me, they don't compete, they collaborate, they don't drain me, they fuel me, and because of that I show up in the world stronger, clearer, more confident. You don't have to be lonely to be selective. Being alone doesn't mean being isolated. It means being intentional. And in those moments of solitude, you get to ask the most important question: who am I becoming, and who around me is helping me get there? that question changes everything. It makes you bolder about who you let close. It makes you examine who's really rooting for you and who's just watching. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say, "This is not my energy anymore," not out of judgment, but out of growth. You're allowed to evolve, you're allowed to elevate, and you're allowed to choose a circle that reflects where you're going, not where you've been. The world will always try to pull at you critics, comparisons, noise. But if your inner circle is solid, if the people closest to you remind you of your power when the world forgets, then you are unstoppable. Curate your circle like your future depends on it, because it does. Your circle is your mirror. It should show you your strength, not your insecurities. It should reflect your brilliance, not your doubt. So be kind, be gracious, but also be ruthless with your access. Not everyone gets to walk with you. Not everyone gets to hear your dreams or speak into your life. Protect your space like it's sacred, because it is, and when you do, you'll notice something powerful. You'll rise faster, love deeper, and walk taller. Because when your circle is right, your spirit is light, and that's when you truly reign. There comes a point in your life when you have to stop asking who likes you and start asking who respects you, who supports you, who energizes you, not just tolerates you. It's not about being surrounded by the most popular people or the ones with the flashiest resumes. It's about protecting your energy, your peace, your progress. And for that, you must be unapologetic about one thing: curating your circle ruthlessly. Your circle has the power to shape your reality. If you're around people who constantly doubt your capabilities, it becomes harder to hear your own voice through their noise. If you're always surrounded by negativity, that weight starts to live in your mind. Confidence doesn't grow in environments filled with jealousy or subtle shade. Confidence grows where there is honesty, encouragement, and real love. And love isn't always soft. Sometimes love is firm. Sometimes it's drawing a line between what you allow and what you don't. I've had to make tough decisions about who stays in my life, not because I stopped caring about them, but because they no longer aligned with the direction I was heading. There were people who liked the version of me who stayed quiet, who didn't shine too brightly, who made herself smaller so they could feel bigger. And for a while I played along. I let it slide. I thought it was loyalty. But eventually I realized it wasn't loyalty, it was self-betrayal. I was shrinking to fit into someone else's comfort zone, and I couldn't keep doing that. So I made a choice. I began to evaluate every connection in my life with one simple question: does this person help me rise? Do they challenge me with love? Do they clap when I win? Or do they compete in silence? Do they lift me when I fall? Or do they disappear when I'm no longer convenient? Those questions may sound harsh, but they are necessary. Because your circle should be your sanctuary, not your battlefield. We are taught to be nice, to keep the peace, to avoid confrontation. But growth is not about pleasing everyone. Growth is about choosing peace over popularity. It's about being brave enough to admit when someone's presence in your life is costing you more than it's giving. I used to fear losing people. Now I fear keeping the wrong ones too close. And let's be real. Curating your circle isn't just about cutting people off. It's about intentionally seeking those who challenge you to level up. It's about surrounding yourself with people who are committed to their own growth, who inspire you by simply being themselves. These are the people who don't flinch when you talk about your big dreams. They don't mock your ambition or make you feel like you're too much. They say, "Go for it, you've got this." And more than that, they show up for you consistently. When your circle is right, you evolve faster. You take risks with more confidence. You recover from failures with more strength because you're not doing it alone. You've got people in your corner who remind you of your power when you forget. People who don't let you settle for less. People who call out your blind spots, not out of criticism, but out of love. That kind of support is rare, and it's worth protecting. I've learned that the people you allow into your inner circle are a reflection of how much you value yourself. If you allow disrespect, inconsistency, or manipulation, you're sending a message to yourself that you don't deserve better. But when you raise your standards, when you say, "This is the kind of energy I allow in my life," you begin to attract people who meet you at that frequency. And you lose the ones who were never meant to stay. Let them go. There's nothing selfish about choosing your peace. There's nothing cold about walking away from toxicity. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. And in a world that constantly tells women, especially ambitious women, to be accommodating, to be soft, to dim their light so others don't feel insecure, curating your circle ruthlessly is a revolutionary act. It's how you claim your space, your power, your worth. Sometimes this path can feel lonely. You might go through seasons where it feels like no one gets you, but don't let that push you back into old patterns. Be patient. The right people will find you when you refuse to settle. The ones who are aligned with your growth, your values, your vision. They will show up, but they'll only find the real you if you stop hiding behind relationships that aren't serving you. So take stock of who's around you. Be honest, be brave. Let go of what doesn't align and make space for what does. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to live fully, boldly, unapologetically. And that begins by choosing the people who remind you of your power, not the ones who chip away at it. Curate your circle with intention, with vision, with love, because your circle is not just about who's around you. It's about who's influencing your future. And your future is too important to leave in the hands of the wrong energy. Choose wisely, choose boldly, and never apologize for protecting your peace.